Good evening, everyone. It is Deborah with Kensington Cross Stitch. Today is April 20, 2023, and I appreciate you taking the time to come and spend a little bit of time with me. It is always so much fun to get to talk stitching with you, and I appreciate those of you who are returning subscribers who come back video to video, and those of you who may be just dropping in for the first or second time. I really do appreciate every moment and decision that you all take. There are so many Flosstubers out there. There's so many things out there to take up a little bit of our time, and I appreciate you choosing to come and do that with me tonight. So thank you. I wanted to just have a chance to say that, so I appreciate it. So with that, I will launch into tonight's episode. I do have a couple of things to show you. I have my standard couple of whips that I've been working on over the course of the year. I have two new starts to show you, as well as a recent not only finished, but fully finished object. So a couple of things that I'm really excited about. I will admit I filmed it earlier than I thought, just because I was like, I just really want to show off my finish. So I hope that you enjoy it just as much as I do. It was something that I was experimenting with and was really pleased with the results. So that will come along in just a little while. We've got some recent acquisitions, a few other things to talk about. I do want to spend a little bit of time talking tonight about appreciating and organizing my stash. I know that Stitch from Your Stash and some things like that are very popular, and I've just been thinking about how I can, in particular, appreciate what I have, and some kind of maybe some changes and thoughts that I've been making because of that. So I hope that you will enjoy that as we go through the evening. Whenever it is that you're watching this, you're probably watching this at like 3 o'clock in the morning. Whenever it is, I hope that you enjoy what we're talking about, and we'll go from there. So welcome. I appreciate you taking the time. So with that, I will start with just a couple of the whips that you have been seeing. If you're a returning subscriber, you've seen these a number of times and know what I have been working on. So the first of these is Christmas Market by Twin Peak Primitives. This is something that I'm stitching on 32 count linen. I believe this is a Weeks Dye Works Cocoa, I believe is the color I want to say. And this is something that I am working on 1 month at a time, each of these Christmas market stalls, and it will keep me on pace to hopefully be done well in time for Christmas this coming year, so I can have it up as part of my winter decor. And so you'll see that I am partly done with this stall here. I've basically done everything except fill in the color of the stall itself. And in this case, it's going to be the same ecru as the piece that I finished last month. Kind of so going off the brighter colors that we had the first 2 months, having those kind of ecru colors here. I'm still working on the translation. I think it is spelled B-O-L-L-E, and I believe it is essentially maybe glass Christmas ornaments or glass balls, but I'm still working on that. So if anybody has an idea, let me know. But I think that that's what this is. And I really am enjoying the bright colors of this one in particular, and then how it will also be included with the ecru and how it will stand out. One of the things that I really like too is just the little detail of the fact that the market sign is also hanging in the same way that the little ornaments are. So I thought that was just a really neat little element to get to add in there. So I am still working on this one. I essentially just give myself over the course of each month to finish one of those market stalls. That was actually just one stitching session for me. I spent a Sunday kind of working on that one. So they're not something that take up a huge amount of time, but breaking it up into smaller elements really does help me keep on pace so that I don't overload or kind of spend too much time working on it, so that I don't finish it by the end of the year. So I did reach a really good stopping point with that one, and part of the reason I haven't finished it any further than that is I have a stitching day next weekend. If you're in Connecticut, PSA, just a reminder that we're having a stitching day at the Panera in Wallingford starting at 10 o'clock on the 29th of April. But I figured that type of stitching would be really good to take for an event like that, where we'll be talking, we'll be chatting, and I really don't have to be looking at a pattern to be stitching. So I thought that would be a good one to take along. And if you're new or if you haven't seen it yet, I did want to take just a quick moment to show you, remind you kind of some of the changes that I have been making to this pattern. As you'll see, even based on what I showed you with the stitching so far, you'll notice some things are moved around. I had started with these stalls at the top. I've done actually these two so far. I'm working on these two white ones. So I have essentially rearranged it so it will be a very long wall runner with that double stall at the top, 2 rows of stalls going down the center. The Christmas tree will be in the center of my piece as well, and at the very bottom you'll see the market entrance. So you'll feel like you're kind of walking into a market. That was kind of the element that I was going for. So once I finish on this, I actually will be starting here where the Christmas tree will be coming in. Here we go, in between those 2 stalls. So I'm looking forward to that. And then I'm going to flip this really quickly because of course I don't want to actually show you the pattern, but just to give you an idea of the Frankenstein work that I did on my pattern on that one. But I think it's just going to be a neat way to display the same idea in a slightly different format. And as I said, I've really been enjoying working on this one and keeping pace with it. It's one of the larger projects I have ever worked on. And so I have been pleased how well my kind of being careful and thoughtful of going through the process and not working on too much all at once really does seem to be keeping me on pace. So Christmas Market by Twin Peak Primitives. The next one that I want to show you is another whip that you have seen and is something I will be working on throughout the rest of the year. And just a quick reminder of these beautiful jewel tones that I've chosen for the palette on this one. And this is my Rainbow Temperature Supernova. And this is one by Climbing Goat Designs. And this is a temperature SAL. So every day I have both the minimum and the maximum temperature, which I note. And as you'll see, by the end of the year, it will be in that kind of explosion circle all the way around. So I have been enjoying this. We're well over a quarter of the way into the year, so I'm starting to head down on this side of the circle. And you'll notice that we actually have a couple of pinks in this one. We had some warmer temperatures here in the last week or so, unexpectedly warm temperatures, and so that really kind of brought in those pinks. And I anticipate as the spring continues and as we get into summer here in the Northern Hemisphere, quite a lot of the piece will actually be those pinks and then darker reds, and then heading back toward the top for the end of the year. And we'll see if so far I've been able to use purple 4 times. Purple is my coldest color, and I've used it all of 4 times this year. So we'll see if the winter is any, the winter at the end of the year is any colder than it was at the beginning of the year, which was extremely mild. But so that is one that I have continued to work on and always enjoy. It's just traditionally one of my Sunday stitches, and it's so nice to just sit down, think about the week, get those stitches in, and continue on from there. So those are my 2 continuing whips, and you will see them in future videos for quite some time because those are something I'll be working on over most of the next year. I also have 2 new starts to show you, and these are projects I'm excited about. Both of them are associated with SALs, actually. So the first one that I want to show you is, my needle minder is stuck to something. This is Welcome by Hands On Design. And this is a piece that is, it was an exclusive to Welcome Stitchery in Spring Green, no, not Spring Green, in Blue Earth, Minnesota. I believe I'm coming up with the right thing. It's definitely in Blue Earth. And it's Welcome Stitchery run by Justine. And for her 1-year anniversary, actually not quite a year ago, she's coming up on her 2nd anniversary at this point, she commissioned Kathy Haberman from Hands On Design to create an exclusive for her. And so I purchased this pretty much right at the end of last spring. Didn't get started on it at the time, but have been looking forward to it throughout the entire winter when I would get back to spring and working on this type of project. So really, despite the fact that I have only stitched brown so far, I have really been enjoying it. These are beautiful colors, stitch up so well. These are all Weeks Dye Works flosses. You can see the whole color palette. there, and it was kitted up, so it came with the cute little bling that goes on your ring. And so I am going to be continuing to work on this one. I am not going to be stitching the entire piece, in part because I plan to finish this and hang it on my front door where I have a wreath that has all yellow flowers. And so the whole piece is just a little bit too big to fit in that space. But I am going to stitch the top where it says welcome, and then all of the flowers, because the colors are very close to what I have in the wreath, and I think it'll just be a really nice thing to have on my door. I'll get to see it every time I come home. Any visitor will get to see it, and I think that that's going to be such a really welcome opportunity, a welcome thing to have on my front door for any guests, because I love that sentiment of, you know, entering as guests, leaving as friends. The one other change that I think that I am going to make is I believe that I'm actually going to move the little house up here because I really do love it. It's adorable. So I think I'm going to move it up here in place of this large yellow flower. I did quick measurements and I think that that should work. I may make it kind of this little teal color instead, just so it doesn't blend in. And like I said, my wreath is all yellow, so I don't think I'm going to miss having that one yellow flower in it. But I got started on this over Easter weekend, really enjoyed just the opportunity to sit and kind of work on that piece for a little while. It was just a very soothing, and the colors are beautiful. So it was a soothing and beautiful stitch. And so I'm looking forward to continuing to work on that one. I don't think it'll take me a huge amount of time to finish that one. Just to kind of show you project bags, which I do from time to time. This is one that I made over the Christmas holidays, and this is a Japanese linen. Waiting for it to, there we go. A Japanese linen that I picked up at a quilting expo a number of years ago. And, you know, obviously it's got cats, so you know it's something that I love. But I did want to show that off. And then the other new start, oh, I had said it was a SAL, and then I forgot to talk about the SAL. So this is a piece that I am stitching as part of Sarah from Sew Me Sarah's new SAL, which is the Get Your Kit On SAL. And this is something she started fairly recently, kind of around the 10th of April. And really the purpose of that SAL is just to help us celebrate the kitted projects, the kitted projects that we have, that you purchased as a kit, whether that came from a Dimensions Gold kit, whether that came from something like this where the store kitted up the entire project for you and sent it as one piece. It's just a way to celebrate those parts of our stash. And one of the things that I love about those is just the ease of a project like that. You can just pretty much pick up a bag and be ready to go. There is something that is really wonderful about taking the time to pull your threads and think about your fabric and all of those things, but sometimes you want to just launch in and do the stitching, and kits are just such a wonderful way to do that. And there are so many beautiful projects, so many wonderful things in kits these days. And so I started that one as my first project. I probably will actually stitch several pieces for this kit. And as Sarah has said, doesn't matter if it's something you're already working on. It doesn't matter if you do multiple things, if you only do one. It's just an opportunity to share kits that you have with other stitchers and make a little bit of progress on those. So thank you, Sarah, for organizing the SAL. And I have really been enjoying the first couple of stitches in it, and look forward to more to come. The other SAL is actually my SAL. You may have mentioned or may have remembered from my last video that I have launched a new perpetual SAL, which is the Constant Cat SAL. And this is for all of us who have a lot of cat patterns. Frankly, it could be if you just have one cat pattern. But if you want to join into a community of people who enjoy that type of stitching and want to show it off, want to take a look at what other people are stitching, has a cat in it, is cat related, anything like that. It's a perpetual SAL, so join us at any time. There's no official start or end date. It's just an opportunity for us to have a little fun with our feline friends. So the project that I have chosen to work on for this SAL first, and I'm treating it also as a perpetual SAL in the sense that when I finish one cat project, I'll probably pick up another one, just kind of constantly have one on the go in some way or another. So this is just the first of many, I'm guessing. But I will be stitching a Bent Creek piece, and this is from the Snapperville series, and it's called Homestead. And it has right in the very center, it's got a teeny tiny little gray cat. And so that is, you'll see what I've gotten done so far. I've gotten my little cat done, and he's sitting on the fence. And so from there, this is not going to be a long stitch. It's a very small piece, as you can see, so not going to take me a huge amount of time. I did pull my own colors, but they are all very much within that original colorway. The only major change that I have made is I wanted to brighten up the house a little bit. I thought that the brown was just a little bit too brown for me in this case. And so I have pulled this really lovely blue, which is Weeks Dye Works Blue Suede. And I'll be making the house out of blue just to give that corner of the design a little more color. And then other than that, I'll be kind of stitching them, like I said, not the called for colors in most cases, but something that was very similar from my stash. So just a cute little project. And of course, I had to do a center start because that's right where the cat was. So I hope that you will join us for that SAL. Like I said, join in anytime. Doesn't matter if you do 1, doesn't matter if you do 10, but it's just a good opportunity for those of us to who enjoy cats to appreciate them in stitched form as well. So those are my 2 whips, my 2 new starts. And with that, I have what was my finished object, my FO, and what became just as of last night, an FFO, a fully finished object. I am so excited about this one, you guys. I showed it to you. You've seen a little bit of it, and it turned out exactly the way I wanted. And I love it when a plan comes together. I love when that happens. So I'm so excited. Okay, building up the suspense just a little bit more. You'll remember that I have been working out of this Helene book, which is monochrome and tonal pieces. So this is essentially pieces that are all in one color or tones of that same color. And I'm realizing, did I leave my marker in here? I did. So I have been working on the Carotte. There, it focused. So this is just a beautiful piece. I love the monochrome aspect of it, but then I immediately changed that. You'll be very surprised to know that I changed the pattern. I went with 2 different colors. I chose these 2 Victorian motto colors, Peach Marmalade and Lime Fizz, which I thought were kind of tonally very similar to each other, but would let me have the Carotte and the frond in 2 different colors. And the reason that I decided to do that is I decided to stitch it in 2 pieces. I wanted to make a 3D Carotte. Wasn't quite sure how it's going to work, but look at that. Look at this. I've got a 3D little Carotte at the bottom. I've got the frond at the top, the little ribbon. It's all puffy. You guys, I am so excited. This is pretty much exactly what I was imagining. I wanted it to be, I had the idea that I wanted to make it 3-dimensional, that it actually would have a Carotte shape. And at first I was planning to stitch it all as one piece, and I was just essentially going to gather it in the center, and then the top would be essentially a larger tube. That was what I thought. You just gather it and then have the frond. And then I kept thinking, but you're going to lose a lot of the stitching. You're going to not be able to see everything if you just gather it and kind of bring it all together and have it sealed in the back. And so then I was trying to think about how could I make that work. And I realized that if I just stitched it as 2 separate pieces and then brought them together for the final fully finished object, I would be able to achieve that. I would be able to achieve a way in which you can actually see the entire top while also getting to have the tiny little carrot at the bottom. So that is what I did. I can't take it apart because it's all stitched together at this point, but I stitched the carrot on one piece of the same fabric, essentially finished it like you would a little strawberry, kind of stitched up the back. It has some crushed walnut shells in the middle to kind of give it a little bit of heft. And then let's see if you'll be able to see this. Yeah, I just kind of tucked the end of the fabric inside so that you wouldn't have a raw edge, and then cinched it together. And then for the top piece, what I did is stitch it all in one piece. And when you saw this last, I had finished the carrot, and I had finished, I think, just a very small portion of the carrot top right there. But everything else I finished last weekend, actually. I just kind of got in the mood and was sitting and working on it. And so this one was stitched as a separate piece. And then what I did is I had a polyester thread that you can see is almost the same color. And I just hand stitched all the way around, just 1/8 square away from the rest of the stitching, and then cut it out in the shape. And then I stuffed it. Unfortunately, I was kind of winging this, and so I didn't think it out quite well enough because I had started from the bottom and left the opening only at the bottom here in the stem, which meant it was a very small piece of fabric that I was trying to stuff all of this fiber fill through. Smart idea. So I did eventually cut a small hole in each of the main leaves sections so that I could individually stitch them or stuff them with a little bit of poly fill. And then I just stuck a little button on top after I stitched it back up and stuck a little button on it. It works. It's the back, who cares? But it just was an easier way than trying to spend like 87 hours very carefully doing that. And then it has just a little piece of slightly flexible metal. They have very tiny metal dowel almost that is holding it up, and it's running kind of from here down partway into the carrot. And then, like I said, I just kind of folded the carrot in, cinched it together with this little piece of green jute, and it's all held together. So I really wasn't sure. I had this kind of idea in my head, vague about kind of what I was looking for, and I just figured, we'll try it. We'll see. I don't know how it's going to turn out. And I did this one night, and then last night I finished up the carrot and put the two pieces together. One of the other things that I really wanted by doing it in two pieces is it would leave this lowest little bit to actually hang over the carrot a little bit. Because of the way that the pattern is if I had stitched them all in one piece and cinched them together, I would have essentially lost this entire part of the pattern because it would have been lost in the cinching because it's so close to the stem and the carrot. And so this way I actually still get to experience everything in the carrot. Sorry, tonight I'm just not able to get the directions going. But this way I get to kind of have the little carrot itself, and you'll see that the pattern kind of curves around, while also having the full throw on. So I don't know if anybody else loves this, but I love this. It makes me so happy. I love it. And I think this is where I'm going to be displaying it for now. I don't know if this is how long it's going to be, but I just have this little box on my desk top, and it's got some rulers. I love this. This is the British ruler, and it has all of the rulers of the British Empire. The British ruler. Ruler's ruler. One that I got at the Gutenberg Museum in Germany. Just a couple of other things. This one, a pencil at the front, and it says, "Welcome to the Donk and Pony Show." It's fantastic. So it's just there. A couple of little things on my desk that make me happy. And the carrot kind of fits right in there. So I think that's where it's going to be living on my desk for a while. It might just stay there all year round because I'm I'm so excited. Oh, I love it. So, that is my FO and my FFO. So I should probably get over how excited I am, but I'm just super excited. So anyway, I hope that you enjoyed it. It was really fun. That frond, I really was not sure how the stitching was going to go, just because of how detailed it is. But what I discovered is it actually goes very, very quickly because of the way that the pattern is designed. Almost every little element of that frond feels like a small piece in itself, in the sense that you almost feel like you could pick up and put down the project at any point without losing your place. I did wind up marking it on my working copy just to keep track overall where I was in that project, but it was something that was very easy to pick up and put down, which I really appreciated. So there are a lot of other patterns in that book that I like, and so I'm really looking forward to stitching the rest of them. But that might be my last spring piece, other than the couple that the welcome one that I'm working on right now. And I think that's a really fun way to kind of wrap up the spring stitching season. Yeah, that's my carrot, you guys. Okay, so like I said, I wanted to spend just a little bit of time talking about kind of appreciating and organizing my stash. I know that this is something that we as stitchers, I think, tend to think about a lot, actually, is how to organize our stash. I recently joined a Facebook group that's all about organizing your stash, and people just post pictures and ideas and talk to each other about organization. And I was also realizing that there's the organization aspect, but I also want to spend some time and focus appreciating the stash that I have. I've mentioned before that I've stitched on and off my entire life, at times when I've had very little money, at times when I've had a little more freedom to spend on some things that I would like to have. And throughout, of course, I love the stitching regardless of that, but when I got back into stitching the last time, I really enjoyed supporting the new fabric dyers, the new floss dyers, people who are coming up in the industry. Plus, I also really just love getting mystery packages every month, and so I had been part of a number of those for, 18 months or something like that, and really enjoyed it. But I was noticing over the last kind of 2-3 months that the packages would come in and I'd kind of go, oh, that's great. And I wasn't taking the time to say, look at all of the threads individually that came in. I would kind of look at them as a package and say, that's great, put them with the rest of my stash, but I wasn't taking the time to appreciate the individual floss or the work that the person had put in, and I think that is in no way, against the person who was doing all that work. They are continuing to do a great deal of work for the community, in something that I appreciate. But I think it just meant it was a signal to me that I needed to slow down for a little while, that I need to focus on what I have and not on acquiring more. I had been really kind of building up a stash because I'm not the kind of person who feels like I have to stitch with the called for threads or the called for fabric. So many of the new dyers in particular, they're not used in patterns significantly yet, or they may be used here and there, but they're not the kind of regular dyers and companies that we see on a regular basis in all of our projects. And so I have no problem pulling out one of my patterns and then picking my own thread, picking my own floss, so that I can enjoy and appreciate the work that is being done by these new designers. But I also, like I said, it's fun to enjoy. It's fun to get all of those. It's fun to support them. But if you get to a point like I did, where I was not really actually appreciating what I was getting anymore, it means I need to focus on appreciating what I already have. And so I've kind of let go of most of my monthly clubs at this point. I'm sure I'll rejoin at some point. And, and this is in no way to not want to support anybody in the industry. But I wanted to take a little break, take some time to think about what I have, use those up and focus on that and enjoy them in a different way than I have. I haven't put myself on a like spending pause or anything like that. It's just kind of a, if you don't need it, you don't have to purchase it. And so I will be kind of seeing how that impacts the impression I have of the work that I do and how I'm making my choices for a little while. And we'll go from there. But I think it's going to be an adventure. It's appreciate, like, how many times have I said this now? It's appreciating what you have, but it's also then really getting a chance to dig in and say, look at all of these really neat things that I have. How can I highlight them? How can I use them? How can I put them out in a way that others can appreciate too? So that's kind of one of the things that I have been thinking about. And one of the things that I've been thinking about several things in this respect, but one other thing I have been thinking about is how to actually organize my stash. I have patterns that I currently essentially have organized by size. I probably want to reorganize them probably by theme. I am still thinking about how to do that in a way that kind of works for my brain and I remember what I have while still making them accessible to me in a new way. So I haven't reached any final conclusions on that. Anybody has any brilliant ideas on how to organize your pattern by theme? Let me know. But one of the other things I have also been thinking about is how to organize my overdyed floss. I had originally been keeping them by designer in an alphabetical order, so that way, if the pattern called for color and cotton, something, I would be able to go and pull that piece and know that I had it right away. But then as I was working more on focusing on using threads that maybe were not being called for in patterns, I reorganized all of them by color family. So I can just go and pull off the blue ring. I can go and pull off the pink ring and easily flip through, find kind of the tones and variations of colors that I was looking for, which is great. I enjoy it. It looks really nice on my wall. But I've also been feeling a little bit lazy recently, like, maybe there really is something nice about just going for the called for, knowing you have it and being able to find it very quickly. I feel like kitting up projects is almost a hobby in and of itself. There's a process to kitting up a project that is different than the enjoyment that I get out of stitching a project. And sometimes I get in the mood and I just want to kit up a bunch of projects. And sometimes I'm just like, I just want it to be easy. I just want to be able to go pull off exactly what I want and get going. So I'm thinking of flip-flop, going back to the way it was before, organizing by by dyer, and then by alphabetical order. But I don't feel like I said, I don't feel like I need to keep buying. Like, if I don't have the called for color, I can still use a substitute. So I've been thinking about creating a comprehensive spreadsheet that will kind of go across all of the dyers and show similar floss across all of them. Obviously, some of these already exist. There's the DMC to Classic Colorworks. There's the DMC to Belsoir, charts that you can get, and it tells you kind of the idea of what that dyer intended, matching it to the DMC or the anchor or something like that. But I don't think that something exists that is all of them together. Like, I don't know if you can get a spreadsheet that says, we're keying off of the DMC, and if it calls for DMC 415, here's the weeks equivalent, here's the Classic Colorworks equivalent, here's the Color and Cotton equivalent, here's the Roxy Floss Co. equivalent. You get my drift. As far as I know, I don't believe a comprehensive spreadsheet like that exists. And so it would mean if I did have something like that, and I only had the DMC and I had one of those, or let's say it called for the Classic Colorworks, but I only have the Roxy Floss Co. Great, perfect substitute. Maybe not necessarily exactly the same. And not every dyer has an equivalent in DMC or has something that matches others. I know it's not going to be every box filled in for every dyer, but Doesn't that seem like it would be really helpful? Has anybody done this? Because if anybody has done this, you're going to save me a lot of work. If you haven't done it, I might put in the time. I might see if I can run it through ChatGPT. I wonder if you can do that. Like, I haven't tried this out yet, but I wonder if that would work, or at least good enough to get you started. I don't know. Anyway, I have been thinking about this. Spreadsheets are wonderful in the ways that spreadsheets are wonderful, but it seems like it could be very useful to have that type of information to easily go and grab what you want. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Does anybody else have an interest in this? Does this spreadsheet already exist? Do you have a better idea that I have not thought of? Let me know in the comments. I would be very, very interested in hearing your thoughts on organizing things. And then kind of as just a corollary to that, I think I may spend a bunch of time just kitting up a whole bunch of projects. Not because I intend to stitch them anytime soon, but just so that when I do want to, they're there and they're ready to go. We'll see. Something I've been thinking about. And then, oh, actually, one last thing I've been thinking about with this as well is also, I have a lot of patterns, as all of us have a lot of patterns. I don't necessarily want to have the stitched final product, say, out on display regularly. Like, it's not that I don't like it. It's just maybe the colors don't match my decoration, or the decor style doesn't match what I have, and I don't want to change the original. I like the original. I want it the way that it is charted, but it doesn't necessarily actually fit my house or somewhere that I would put it. What can I do with those projects instead so that I can still stitch them and enjoy them? I know a number of people are doing, say, like scrapbooking with them. I don't think I need yet another hobby. I don't need to get into paper craft. But I was thinking, I like the idea of, now I've completely blanked on the word. I like the idea of a scrapbook. I really like that idea. And I was watching another Flosstuber recently who introduced me to somebody on Etsy who sells something called a stitch book. I will link this down below. But it's essentially a piece of, I don't know, embroidery fabric or muslin, cotton, something, I'm not quite sure, that you fold in on itself. It has grommet so that you can put it into an album or something like that. And when you want to stitch on it, you can open it up, put your piece on, do whatever stitching that you want to, seal it up. And so you can have two pieces, you can have two projects, one on each side, and on the inside is kind of sealed all of your background thread, your backing threads and things like that. I'm probably not describing this. I'll put a link into the display so you can see what it is. But I really like that idea because you could use quilting techniques, you could use sewing techniques, and you still have these projects, you still stitch them up, you enjoy them, but they're kind of in a photo album, an album that you can flip through, you can personalize it in any way that you want to. I'm still thinking about kind of how to do that with my projects and the sizing and things like that I would need, but I really like that idea. I think that's a fantastic idea. So I will say thank you to the person who came up with that idea, and hopefully that's something I'll get to work on in the future. All right. I think that was my rambling on acquisitions and appreciation and organizing and all of that. So with that, the last couple of things that I have to show you are some recent acquisitions. So if haul is not your thing, please feel free to step out, enjoy the rest of the time. Whatever other Flosstubes or wherever you're else headed off to, please enjoy. And if you do enjoy haul, we have just a couple of things to show for the end of the video. So, actually, I had one thing before I get into haul, is I got a beautiful card from another stitcher. And this was somebody who won a giveaway from a previous video. And she sent this, I love that, it's kind of raised flowers. I love it. It's beautiful. So, Eileen, thank you. I really appreciate that. And I'm looking forward to seeing you next weekend. In terms of other recent acquisitions, I just today received my next piece from the Gather Round series, which is Kathy Haberman's series that's going on throughout the course of the year. And it's called the Gather Round series. And this one is kind of the summer projects. And so we've got, in this case, gather butterflies, kind of a quilt block, little house, and then the saying in the center. And when we received the first month, we got the magnetic circles that these go on. And so every time you just stitch your new piece and they attach via magnet. And we did get some new threads. The entire project, the whole year, all 4 deliveries will use DMC, some of which were included in the first month, some of which are new. And we got a couple of stickers, which are totally going to go into my Happy Planner where I record all of my stitching. We got a little waxer, which is fun. And then we got enough fabric for all 3 of the summer projects in this, as well as the kind of the finishing pieces that we need for that. So really fun just to get those and enjoy and see what each of the new projects are every season. So looking forward to continuing to work on that. I have a couple of patterns. One is, I'm going to flip these around. I've made a couple purchases on one of the stash unloading Facebook groups recently. And I was able to pick up an older Lizzie Kate pattern that I have been kind of wanting for quite some time. And I saw somebody, and so I grabbed it. And you can see the one that I really like is this Feeling Festive. Look at that little reindeer. If I can get the glare off of it. That's okay. Look at him. He's his little scrawny legs and his little arm, and he's got a little scarf. Oh my gosh, he's so cute. Oh, he's so cute. So that one is definitely one I'm going to be stitching. I also really enjoy the Feliz Navidad with the poinsettia. So those are probably the 2 that I will be stitching from this. And this is Tiny Tidings 15, an older project, but you can still get Lizzie Kate in various shops. I believe 123 Stitches is the home of the Lizzie Kate at this point. But I have a number of these Tiny Tidings and need to get started on actually turning those into some ornaments. Another one that I received on one of the unloading sites is this Shepherd's Bush piece, and this is a Bethlehem Christmas. I didn't intentionally buy a bunch of winter and Christmas patterns, but I'm realizing I have 3 of them in a row. It just happened to be one that I saw and I really liked. So it says Merry Christmas. In the M, you can see Bethlehem. It's got an angel in the center, some sheep and a shepherd over in the corner. I probably won't stitch the angel itself. Not quite my style, but I really think that the rest of it is a precious little piece. And so something that I will look forward to stitching on in the future. You can kind of see that. One other one that I got, which is also pretty much a winter piece, is an older Plum Street design, and it's called Favorite Spot Sampler. And it says bright copper kettles and warm woolen mittens, and it has a very prim design to those words. It was one I had seen years ago, pinned it on Etsy, hadn't purchased, and I was going through my Pinterest recently, which I don't really use anymore, but I was going through that recently and I was reminded of this piece and I decided to go ahead and purchase it. I found a store that had it and I went ahead and purchased it because it's an older pattern. It's not really readily available anymore. It's not out of print, but it's not easy to find, I don't think. And so I went ahead and got it while I could because I have discovered that I have a unicorn pattern that I had pinned years ago, thought, oh, I'll get to it when I get to it. And now that I really want it, I can't find it anywhere. It's a sampler girl pattern, and I think it's called Clara's Knitting 1891. And it's a little like Dear Diary, woke up, worked on my knitting, made progress on my mittens. Well, must have been snow or something like that. And it's really cute. It's just this little Dear Diary kind of small sampler piece. And I have not been able to find it anywhere. It seems to be out of print. The couple of shops that are online that say that, well, at one point said that they had it. I purchased it, you know, my order was canceled. I think they couldn't get it anywhere. I had reached out to the designer, I hadn't gotten any response. So I figured, someday I will find a copy of this pattern, but in the meantime, I've learned my lesson. And if I see a pattern that I really want, just go ahead and buy it, because you never know when it's going to be back. So I just have one other small piece of haul to show you. And this is a little sewing box that I ordered from Etsy. It took a little bit of time to get here, but it is absolutely so well made. And you'll see I got just a really lovely little note from, Crinkle. Really lovely note from the woman who made it. It's got a space, kind of some stuffed felt at the top where you can put needles or things like that. A little pocket, some places where you can tuck some things. Just a cute little kind of notions box. It's incredibly well made. I don't know if it's entirely, I think that this is machine stitched, for example, but I'm not sure about the rest. But I saw it, I liked it, I got it. But I really love this. But it was, as you can see, it's made by a Ukrainian designer. She lives in Poland now because of the recent events. But it reminded me of kind of, I know when the invasion originally happened just over a year ago, how many people really rallied around Ukrainian designers, crafters, in order to show support. And there was just such an outpouring of that support. And I know I have seen a couple of things recently of just reminders that things are still happening and they still need our support. And so this is just a little way that we can continue to do that, if that is something that is something that you would like to do and important to you. Just a little reminder that things are still happening and people still need our help. So I wanted to just highlight that little piece that I had purchased and the reminder that I received when I got it. Actually, somebody had asked about this on a previous video and hadn't had a chance to show it off yet, but this is also Ukrainian. This is also Ukrainian artistry. My family are Germans from Russia. They're considered Germans from Russia, and they are people who are of German heritage who, for a period of time, during the reign of Catherine the Great to the beginning of the 21st century, went to Russia. They were invited by Catherine the Great, who was German herself, to go there to settle, to farm, things like that. Lived there for a number of years until things, not surprisingly, turned bad for them. Some of them left, emigrated to the United States, which is what my family did. Some stayed, some went back to Germany, some went to South America, all different places. And so they were never Russian citizens. They never really became Russian, even in terms of food, dress, anything like that. They very much remained German, but the heritage is called Germans from Russia. And because of the recent kind of border changes, at least from my family's point, even though they're called Germans from Russia, it's actually the part of Russia that is now Ukraine. So that is the heritage that my family has. And in the mid-90s, my grandparents, the grandmother who taught me how to cross stitch, her husband, were doing family genealogy, and they actually went to Ukraine for a year to teach English as a second language. And part of the reason that they did it is because they wanted to go and see this part of their family history that they didn't know much about, to get to visit the villages and learn more about the history, see if they could learn information about some of their ancestors who had this part of their life experience. And so they went over, spent a year in Kyiv. Unfortunately, things then weren't in many ways any better than they are now. So travel was difficult. They weren't able to do as much as they wanted, but they did get to spend time in Kyiv, and they brought us a number of gifts home, things like that. And so this is actually the one that they brought home for me. You can actually see the name of the person who did it. It was made in 1996. And then it's a nesting doll set, and every single one, I'm not going to open the entire thing, but every single one is highlighting some aspect of Ukrainian handicrafts. So this is actually the stitcher, and the whole thing is hand painted. It is absolutely beautiful. It's really nice wood, hand painted, and each layer you can see men and women who are doing various traditional Ukrainian crafts and showing it off. So like I said, I'm not going to open the entire thing, but it is something that I continue to treasure from my grandparents. And I was so pleased to be able to keep it here. It's something I get to see all the time and appreciate. And so it is just a reminder of that aspect of life and kind of where things take us, and the histories that we all have together, and how we are connected in ways that are sometimes unexpected. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of end on that, show it off. Since I was showing some other Ukrainian handicraft, I thought it would be a really good opportunity to show off this as well. It's one of my treasured possessions. So I hope that you enjoyed that. I hope that you enjoyed tonight's video, got to see the stitching. I hope that you liked the carrot. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me. I hope that you enjoyed. I hope that you have a wonderful upcoming week or two until my next video. And until then, I hope that you have some wonderful stitching time. Good night, everybody. Bye.